What's up, guys? It's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Was Deceived Part 5. This series is an absolute banger so far, and we're about to enter into the rating game of where he beats the crap out of Cyborg, hopefully with his newfound powers. Let's try to hit 300 to 400 likes, or 400 to 500 likes. That'd be absolutely amazing. If you guys want to know when I upload, / my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. That would be highly appreciated, and I cannot thank you enough. Obviously, there's always the limit breaker tier, which is only $2.99, and you can know when I upload and all that upload schedule. Just thank you for all the support. Seriously, can't thank you enough, ladies and gentlemen. Without any further intrusion, let's go ahead and thank my balance breakers. Aunt Lewis. Oh, my balance breakers and my Juggernaut Drive members. The Juggernaut Drive members are the ones in blue names, and that is the highest tier for anybody who is wondering. Aunt Lewis, Lachlan Yates, Jordan Patchow, Night Ammo, Refeek135, Ryan Monk, John Bain, Keep Saying 21, Undefined Truth, VR Wolf, Dark Phoenix, Ziki2000, Shen Beyond, Chaotic Raven, Jeffrey, Notatrax, Dr_MG_ is the bomb, Grimfire Shot Gamer, Jerry Vive, Source Responder, Rob the King, and Zero Fusion. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker. Seriously, I can't thank you enough. And a Juggernaut Drive member. Seriously, it's absolutely amazing. I can't even fathom. We have like 50 members. It's kind of crazy. Also, I just uploaded some more videos on my Patreon. I think I uploaded DxD episode 4 of the reaction vid out there. If I didn't, let me know, because that means I forgot, or I'll just go check after this. So yeah. Also I had Dragon Ball Super Heroes reaction and the One Piece Gear 5 reaction, etc. You get the point. And thank you to all my Patreon members. David Tanner, Ryuga, Lachlan Yates, The Black Dragon Emperor, Brendan Dossett, Stripelanger, Mark Bacon, Sharklock, Jay Dawson, Kefir Windsor, and God Killer. Thank you so much for becoming a Patreon member. Seriously, once again, can't thank you guys enough. Without any further intrusion, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into Part 5. Chapter 15, The Rating Game. Everyone just enjoyed their day after their breakfast. Dre got to enjoy pancakes for the first time. Issei just spent the day inside his room and locked the door. The others tried to get to him without hicking with them, but he refused. Clearly, he's still depressed and over everything. First, getting his heart broken, and now he has less than a decade to live. He spent the day maintaining his knives. As the evening he fell, he heard a knock on his door. Issei thought that it was just the others checking up on him, but as soon as he opened the door, he saw Sir Zex, Azazel, and Gravia. Issei opened the door wide open and bowed. Issei, you know that I don't care for formalities between us, Sir Zex says. Sorry, these manners were drilled into my head from the start of this new life, Issei says. Speaking of which, how are you holding up? Azazel replied, as one might expect. I feel all messed up or feel nothing, rarely anything in between. So what brings you guys here? Issei said. You sure you want to fight in the game tomorrow? We can postpone it, Grafia said. I made a promise to Sarorg. I won't go back on my word. Thanks for the offer, though. Care for a drink? Thanks, but we're fine, Azazel says. I assume you want to know about this thing. The three nod in the agreement. Well, it usually manifests once a day. At random times, I discovered that Konoko's sage art makes it try to manifest even when the medicine is in effect. So using that is out of the question. We train for the match tomorrow, Issei said. No doubt. But there's Gaspar got so strong so quickly, Azazel said. He accessed his vampire side. His super strength, fueled by the human blood that flows within him, made him as strong as Konoko. So how are you guys doing? Issei says. We're fine. Thank you for asking, Grafia replied. She noticed the knife collection on the table. She walks over to them and picks up one of the 5 karma bits. This is quite the collection. Thank you, Issei says. These are like talons. Oh, my hat is the Bale Slaw, aka a butterfly knife, Grafia said. It is, Issei says. She picks it up and starts doing tricks with it. The 3 guys were wide-eyed as she was pulling off such complex moves with such speed and grace. Sir Zex turned blue. Issei, may I borrow this one for a short time? By all means, take as many as you want. Issei, she's scary enough as it is. Why are you making it worse? Sir Zex says. He started to shake a bit and smirks. If you're afraid of her, then I have every reason to give her anything she wants. It's basically a get-out-of-jail-free card, Issei said. Gravia giggled. You can't argue with that logic, Sir Zex. She is pretty terrifying. He then whispered into Issei's ear. She totally pegs him, Azazel says. Grafia heard him clearly enough, and she gave him a death glare. What was that, Azazel? I didn't say anything, I swear. Azazel says, come with me, I know a shortcut, Issei says. Issei jumps out the window and Azazel follows. Azazel screaming, and the sound of the window breaking caused Rias and the others to rush over to see Grafia holding the knife. Zerzek's in the corner, trembling in a broken window. Kiba looked out the window and saw Issei and Azazel running for dear life. Kiba looked back at Grafia. Huh? What got into them? Grafia said. She said nonchalantly while still flipping the butterfly knife. They all backed out of the room slowly. Kiba looked out the window. Wait for me, Kiba said. Run, bitch, run, Azazel said. He jumped out the window as well as he used his new speed to catch up to Issei and Azazel. Grafia was looking out the window. He's gotten faster. Azazel is with Issei, so he'll be fine, Grafia said. He then turned towards Zerzek. Now then, it's our turn to have a little fun. Issei's doing okay, all things considering, so let's go home and enjoy ourselves. I'm in danger, Zerzek says. Grafia teleported him underworld. They had some roleplay and fun. The next morning, Issei and the others prepared for the battle, and his parents tried to convince him to ignore the fight, but he refused. They teleported to the underworld, every team taking part and had to be interviewed. However, Issei completely ignored all irrelevant questions. Any questions related to the match were the ones answered. The reporters noticed this stoic expression on his face. Red Dragon Emperor, you seem like a completely different person. What brought about this change? No comment, Issei says. Rias Grimory, please tell us why your pawn, the Red Dragon Emperor, is acting completely different, the reporter says. He's just focused on fighting Sire Auric Biel, Rias says. What about the Grab and Dragon show? That's on hiatus for now. My master and her queen have to prepare for college, Kiba said. Will the Red Dragon Emperor use the Switch Princess to get stronger? Issei immediately left the interview and the others followed. Issei didn't want to answer any more questions. Azazel was by their side. They drove the limo into the stadium. Issei was sitting in the corner, his eyes crossed his arms. Is he taking a nap? Azia said. I think so. There's still some time till we reach the stadium to let him rest. He's been having some nightmares every now and then, Akano said. Issei was once again seeing that woman. Nothing to say, my love, the woman says. You never answer, so I ask. Not until you accept it. Accept me as I've accepted you. Why? Issei says. Where can I find you? I don't know where I am, the woman says. I'll find you. Meet me where once we're met in 4 days. I'll see you then, my love, the woman says. He sees her one last time, then he wakes up. Her appearance keeps changing, yet she's equally beautiful. Hell, why do I want her so much? Issei says. As the thought about her and what she meant by accepting her, Rias placed out his shoulder and Issei grabbed it with a tight grip out of instinct. Ouch, Issei, it's just me, Rias said. Issei let it go after a few seconds, but not without giving her a death glare. Don't sneak up on me like that again. Rias grabs her wrist. It stung a bit from its grip. Can we talk? Rias says. Hell no, Drake thought inside of his head. I have nothing to say to you, and this isn't the best time for obvious reasons. Just focus on the fight. Rias was saddened by this, and so were the others, except for Azazel. He knows that she had it coming. Rias just sits next to him in silence. Issei was looking out the window and ignored everybody. Rias tried to hold his hand, but he put on his headphones, crossed his arms, and listened to some music. Obviously all the sad music, like usual. He listened to different kinds of music the whole way and increased the volume to black out any voices. He crossed his arms, closed his eyes. He's still so distant from us, Akano said. Yeah, he still hates us, and hates me the most. I don't blame him, but I just wish we would talk to me, Rias says. Once the match is over, you could try to patch things up with him, but focus for right now, Azazel says. Right, Rias replied. They drive the stadium into silence. Once they arrive, they enter and welcome the Norse gods such as Odin, Thor, Freya, and from the underworld, Hades showed up and a few of his grim reapers by his side. The reapers attacked Issei. He summoned Ascalon and blocked their attack. Enough, Hades says. The reapers backed away. What is the meaning of this, Hades? I didn't order them to attack, Hades said. Then why did they? Hades moved closer to Issei and visually examined him. I see. It seems that you have the powers of a hollow, and a powerful one at that, Hades says. What's a hollow? Ozzy replied. They were once human souls who gave into their rage, sorrow, and regrets, and they die but don't move on to the afterlife. They transform into hollows, and that's where the Reapers come in. They help the move to the afterlife. If I may ask, how did you possess the powers? Hades said. I fought one familiar force and it bit me. I killed it and I don't possess it. It's trying to possess me. Issei says, hollow? Fitting, Issei thought inside his head. Is there any way to undo it? I'm afraid not, Hades says. It can only be suppressed, but not for long. Already doing that. I apologize for my Reapers attacking. They sensed a powerful hollow and they reached to instinct. I can only give you 2 things as penance, which are advice. First, Hades says, master the power. And the second, my condolences should not. come to pass. Hades says. Everyone was silent. I'll leave you alone. I wish you luck in your match, Red Dragon Emperor and Lady Rias. Take care of them, you old crow, Hades says. Put some skin on lotion, you walking catacomb, Zazel says. Ugh, Hades replied. Lord Hades, I have a request. Oh, the Red Dragon Emperor requests for my help? In case I lose control of my hollow side, can I cut on you Reapers to stop me? Issei, Rias says. What are you saying? Irina replies. If the White Dragon Emperor doesn't you first, then I shall honor your request, Hades says. Thank you, Lord Hades. Hades and his Reapers leave. Issei, what was that about? A means to an end. One with no bloodshed, but my own, hopefully. Come, let's get going. Hey, Azazel-sensei, you remember what I asked you that day? Issei said. Oh yeah, you picked a good one, Azazel says. What are you guys talking about? Don't worry. Just going to make things a bit more enjoyable. Make what more enjoyable? Oh hey, it's the chuckle, Issei says. Watch it, you, Riser says. What are you doing here, Riser? You see you weren't taking part in the game, Rias says. I just came to wish you guys good luck. No need to be so defensive. Ravel couldn't make it, so I came on her behalf. Well, thanks. How's she doing anyway, Issei said. To be honest, she's worried about you, Issei, but she didn't tell me what happened, though. Oh, it's just something between my team and I. She doesn't have to worry. I'm thankful for her worrying. Meaning, Riser said. It proves she cares. You don't get many people like that in life. Issei, what happened to you? You're just not the same guy. No, Riser says. Thanks for the concern, but it's a long story. Take care, Riser. Issei walked away from the others. Something broke you, but what? Riser thought in his head. After a few minutes, Azazel began commentary. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first official raiding game since the end of the Great War. I'm Azazel, your host, and the match against Rias Grimmery versus Team Star Orbiel will begin in 5 minutes. Barriers will be placed for the protection of the audience. Now, we're with Rias and her team. Well, I'll be joining Ravel in the crowd. She saved a seat for me. I'll cheer you guys on, Irina says. Thanks, Irina. Zenobia replied. Hey, Issei, be careful, okay? I will, Issei says. She flew to her seat and joined Ravel. Perfect timing. How's everyone going in an Issei? Not too good. We're trying to fix things after the match. If everything works out, me too. Now we're with Issei. He takes out a syringe and injects himself with the meds. Did it try to manifest again? No, I just don't want to risk it taking over during the match. Aren't you worried about the side effects when it's not flaring up, Gasper said. It's based on Phoenix tears, so no. They hear Azazel call out. Alright, will both teams come forward? Balance break, Issei says. Welch Dragon, balance breaker, Drake says. Why use it already? You want people to see my pale draconic face? I don't want to scare the kids. Move out, Issei said. They get up and come out. The crowd cheers for them both. Azazel... So the fights were decided by the people's demand. Each team will be given 2 Phoenix tiers. The first match is Kiba Yuto versus Bareka Frux. Knights come forward. Both knights became forward. We're not going to bore you with the fights. So basically, you guys already know how that one went. Yeah. Up next is Gasper's Zenobia versus Ladora and Bethesda. The Bishop Knight of Team Grimmeries versus the Rook and the Bishop of Biel began. Gasper used his new strength to launch himself with great speed. The ground underneath him had 2 small craters. He punched the Rook, who blocked it using its arms, but he was sent flying. Are you alright, Ladorda? Matsuda said. Zenobia shows up with Durandal ready to strike. Never ignore your opponent! Matsuda created a shield, but Durandal shattered it. Mitsuda barely dodges. Zenobia sent an energy wave by swinging her blade, but Mitsuda blocked it using magical shield. Zenobia charged up another attack. No, you don't, Mitsuda says. She cast a paralysis spell and Zenobia was frozen in place. What the? Zenobia says. Got you now. Gasper suddenly appeared in front of her. Think again, Gasper said. Nina looked at him and smirked. She was about to strike, but that was blown away instantly and retired. What just happened here? Gasper didn't lift a finger. I see what he did there. He froze time and unleashed a barrage of attacks and unfroze time. Clever boy. Zenobia, could you move again? What did you just do? Froze time, punched several times, and then unfroze time. Now I'm scared of you. Damn, Zenobia says. We walked over to them. I see now I should not have held back. The Ruler started to transform into a dragon. My Rook is here. From one of the 72 pillars who are known for taming dragons, while a few of them could turn into them, Cyroorg says. Ladora attacks both of them, but he couldn't even catch Gasper. Each time he got close to Gasper, he would freeze time and use the same method with Zenobia by his side. They attacked one spot again and again. When this time began to flow normally, Ladora would begin in agonizing pain. His dragon scales gave a little protection and eventually could fight no more. He retired with broken scales, bruises, and several broken bones. Gasper had surpassed his limits and collapsed. Gasper, Zenobia says, I went over my limits. I hope Rias and Issei are proud. Gasper retired in a green light. The winners of the match are Team Grimmery, Azazel says. Issei was silent. He pushed himself beyond his own limits and won. Thank you, Gasper, Rias said. She stood up by Issei's side and tried to hold his hand. He clenched his fist as she held it, but his armor was cold. She couldn't even have the slight comfort she desired. She wanted to feel warmth of his hand, but it was cold as it was towards her. He didn't even try to hold her or look at her. He just stared at something across the field. What are you looking at? Rias says. His pawn. He's got a lot of power. A sacred gear user? Perhaps. The next match is the Knights of Team Gremory versus Sire Orgbiel himself. Begin. Razvaisa, Kiba, and Zenobia lose, but not before cutting off his arm. The winner is Sire Orgbiel. Next match will begin after a 15-minute break. As Hazel says, he was focused in the fight. Even after getting his arm cut off, Irina says Sire took out one of his phoenix tears and used it to reattach his arm. Both teams leave the stadium and enter their private rooms. Issei sits down and holds his head in his hands after deactivating his armor. They sat in silence until... So Konako, how was the healing session yesterday? Rias said. Konako turned red and looked at Issei, who looked back at her. The two started laughing hysterically. Was it something I said? And why is your face so red, Konako? Sorry, we're taking that to our graves, Issei replied. He looked at Konako and gave a quick, friendly wink, and Konako smiled and Rias noticed. Wait, Issei, did something happen between you two yesterday? Rias said. No, we just shared a laugh. Never did that until recently, Issei says. Why is her face red? She never blushed like that before, especially with you. Did you fuck her? Am I not good enough? You said you wouldn't do that fearing of her health. You said you wanted her, but you ignored me for months and... Konako? You basically cheated on me, Rias said. Rias started ranting. Konako tried to calm her down, and so did Asuya. Issei was starting to get a headache. He had to deal with this for too long. Will you just shut up? Issei says. She went quiet. Konako, Asuya, leave the room now, Issei says. Issei, please don't harm her. Don't worry, I won't lay a hand on her, but I'm not going to end this once and for all, Issei says. Let's wait outside, Asuya. They came into the door. Now then, Rias Gremory, Issei says. She backed away a little at the sight of Issei releasing bloodlust, his piercing green eyes with a hint of yellow. It frightened her. What is your malfunction, Gremory? Issei says. Issei, I thought you and Konako were... We were not. Why do you always interrupt me when I try to say something important and go completely off the rails, Issei said. Issei, shut up. Now it's my turn to talk. Do you have the slightest idea about what you put me through, Issei says. Rias was silent. I'm trying so fucking hard to get over it. I haven't laughed like I did yesterday after who knows how long. When I finally do, you assume that I'm fucking Konako. She made a really funny joke yesterday, and that's it. You assume something completely unrelated and then go off accusing me of cheating. How can I cheat when we weren't together? And never will be after what you did, Issei says. No, Issei, don't say that. I love you. That's all I ever wanted you to say to me, Rias says. I went beyond that. I risked my life and my limb. Literally. I fought your ex-fiance to free you. And what did you say? You said that you would rather go back to him because I didn't confess the way you wanted. Newsflash, Rias. I was fucking scared. I was murdered by the first woman I ever liked. She killed Asuya before my eyes, and I was afraid to love again, fearing for my life and hers, but I fell for you and I was ready. I was about to tell you that I was in love with you, all fearing that our relationship wouldn't be accepted and tarnish the Gremory name since I was a pawn, and you were my king, but despite that, I was ready to move on from my past, to love again since it was that I fell for. I nearly killed myself and drank myself to kill the most humans for fuck's sake. So why? Why do you constantly hurt me in the most painful way? Rias started to cry. Issei, I'm sorry. I beg for your forgiveness. No. I can't forgive you after what you did. I can't forgive myself for ever loving you. Why? Why did I fall for you? I wish I never, Issei said. He just sat down in the chair. You wish you never what? You don't want to know, Issei said. But just tell me. If you don't want to hurt me, then do it. Well, even be even, so spit it out, Rias says. He finally stood up to let it out. Fine. I wanted to end my life because you brought me into this. I'd rather be free in death than be your pawn. I don't ever want to be used. Drake doesn't want to be used. You let Asuya suffer. I wouldn't have accepted that shit if I went through because I felt like it. It was karma for my presence nature. But why did I let her suffer? Do you have any idea what death feels like? I didn't see a white light or hellfire. I just saw dark, cold abyss. A cold, lifeless abyss while blood gushing out of my body, slowly becoming cold as the ground I laid on and you let it happen. At least my death was quick, but Asuya's wasn't. I wish you what? Rias said. I wish I never fell in love with you. I wish I never said yes to joining the club. I wish I never met you. Issei says. Silence fell upon them for 5 minutes. Issei slumped down in a chair. He was trying to catch his breath, and he calmed himself. His chest was hurting. Rias just stood up with a blank expression, but tears puddled up beneath her feet, and she wept. Issei wasn't faring any better, but at least he didn't hold it in anymore. Now, you know how I felt since that day. You wanted me to tell you how I felt? Deal with it. Someone can take my place as the Grab a Dragon character. I'm done with that. Your family can still make money, but after the fight, I'm gone. I'm going to enjoy what little time I have left, Issei says. What do you mean by that, Rias says. The hollow within me took my life force. I have 8 years left to live, Issei says. Rias walks over to Issei and does this. She kissed him for a solid 2 seconds until Issei pushed her off of him. She hoped that he would kiss her back, but he didn't. She only felt his cold skin and instant rejection. Don't ever try that again. I'll only warn you once. Issei says, no, Issei, you're not dying. Not in 8 years or 8,000. Not without us getting married, having kids, seeing them grow up and having kids of their own. I can't have that without you. Akeno likes you too. We want to marry you one day and full live happy life. Don't say that you don't love me. I can't sleep when you're not by my side. I don't feel happy when you're not happy. It kills me. Please, let's just start from the beginning. Please, Rias says. Issei pushes her off, and immediately as she tried to hug him again, no, Rias, I'm done. After this match, I don't want to see you again. I can't even laugh around you without things leading to this. I can't imagine how bad things would have gotten if we were in a relationship. We're better off apart. You were the cause of my pain and Asia's. I can't forgive that, and I know damn well that she's not over it either. She's just too kind to say it. She's still a part of your barrage, so treat her right. You owe her that much, Issei says. Issei, please don't leave me. It's too lonely without you. Do you think I like being alone? Every day I think about you. You were my friend, my master, my... Ari's images flashed back through his mind. My soulmate. I don't even know anymore, but I know I loved you like I never thought I could love anybody, but now, Issei says. You promised you to I said you protect us, Rias says. I promised the Rias Gremory whom I loved, the one who gave me purpose in life, whose parents treated me like their own. You're not her. I don't know who you are anymore. I never really did. I started to question if everything we shared was a lie, but I know we shared an illusion, and that is both of us thinking we actually have a future together. Everyone said that we're officially engaged since I saved you from Riser. I never agreed to that. I was forced into it. Now I know how you felt being forced to marry someone you don't want. But unlike you, I'm going to literally walk away and not hold out for a hero to save me. Once the fight starts, you need to stay back. I'll fight Sarah-org, and if you or Konako can fight his pawn, then by all means, just keep your distance. Just 5 more minutes, folks, Azazel says. Issei walks out the door and see both Ozzy and Konako, who are clearly crying puddles of tears on the ground. Sorry you had to hear that, Issei said. Is it true? Only 8 years? Ozzy replied. Say it isn't so, Konako said. It's true. Only 8 years, then I'm gone. No coming back this time, Issei says. We'll find a way to help you recover. Thanks, Azia. Do me a favor, both of you. Name it. Stay with Mom and Dad. They love you girls and always wanted several daughters, Issei said. Azia said, don't tell anyone outside of our team about the 8 years thing, Issei said. The two nod. Now let's go beat Sarah-org. Balance break. Welt's Dragon. Balance breaker. The 3 went to the stadium. Rias followed a few minutes later with him to wake up on it, clear to hide the crying face and her red puffy eyes, and clear from all that enough to see for something that happened. The next match, Issei vs. Corona. And that is the end of Chapter 15. Chapter 16, Holification. Chapter 16, Holification. Alright everyone, the next match is Issei vs. Corona. Issei suddenly felt something, the hollow within tried to take over. Issei suppressed it, but it isn't sure for how long he can do it. Rias going nuts on him once again, and him unleashing his anger verbally got him messed up, but he made his way to the arena. Begin, Azazel says. Corona smiled at him and started to strip. What the? Azazel says. Issei still had a headache and was getting worse from suppressing his inner hollow. Well, Red Dragon Emperor, do you wish to dominate me? Issei didn't respond. He used his speed to appear in front of her and knock her out. He caught her and covered her with his wings. Issei and everyone in the audience face palms. Hey, Sarah-org, is this some kind of joke? Issei says. I wish it was. I was hesitant about it too, but I thought it might distract you for her to strike you down. Sarah-org says. Just retire her already. It's embarrassing enough as it is. Corona disappeared in green light. The winner is Issei. Okay, on to the next match. Issei vs Kushida Abaddon. Kushida steps forward. We thought for sure that would work on you, Crab and Dragon. Kushida says, I'm not a pervert you all came to know. I grew up, and if I were you, I'd put everything I have on defense. Bring it, boy, Kushida says. I warned you. Promotion tonight. Well, Sonic Boost Night, Drake says. His balance breaker became super thin and aerodynamic. He instantly broke the sound barrier, and just before contact, he promoted Rook, his armor. Well, Dragon Rook, Drake says. Issei punched, but stopped his fist just an inch from her face. The force of the punch was enough to carry her through the air. It hit her directly and sent her flying through the barrier, which cracked upon impact. The crowd gasped as she retired. If his fist had connected, then she might have died. Sorg was surprised. Don't say I didn't warn you, Issei says. You're even faster and stronger in those promotions than I thought, Sorg says. You found about the Kyoto battle. Indeed, Sorg says. So who's your new pawn? My trump card. Good thing I got one of my own. I expected nothing less from you, Issei. I request a battle royale. Azazel says, what do you say, folks? We have battle royale? The crowd cheers loud enough and hurts one's ears. Issei's headache didn't need this. The battle royale has been granted. Begin. Rias, Konako, and Azia stood by Issei's side. Sarah Org and his only pawn remained. So you will take on Sarah Org while we take the pawn, Rias says? Hold it. Don't you feel his power? He has his sacred gear. Hey, Sarah Orc, who's your new pawn? I want a real answer this time. He says, shall I, master? The pawn says. I suppose it's time. Do it, Regulus, Sarah Orc says. The pawn took off its mask, began to transform into a 3-meter golden lion. That's the Lion of Nenma, one of the 3D Longinus, as Azazel says. He doesn't even have a gear. He is the gear, Issei says. Oh, so you can fight it? Only one of them. Issei says. Issei held his head and was throbbing from pain. He could feel the hollow taking over. His chest was hurting and his fingers were stinging. Are you okay, Kodako said. No, the hollow was taking over. This is bad, but I think I can handle it. Use your meds. It'll be an automatic disqualification if they see me using drugs. Not everyone knows about my condition. I'll have to manage, Issei says. It's not worth your health, Issei. It's not worth breaking my promise to him either. It's all I have to keep me going, Issei says. Regulus, leave the Red Dragon Emperor to me. You can have the other. Shall I attack? They seem distracted, worried about something. Regulus says, attack, Sarah says. Regulus roared and charged at Rias and Azia and Konako. Issei punched the lion a few meters away. I'm your opponent, Red Dragon Emperor. Come at me, Sarah says. I'll leave Regulus to you three. Konako, use close combat. Azia, provide backup. And Rias, you know what to do. Issei walks towards Sarah and the crowd cheers. Ready? Hell yeah. Regulus was holding his own against the three. Azia healed any injuries they sustained. Konako would use her size and speed to her advantage, but the lion's thick hide was too durable. No wonder Hercules had to wrestle it in the death before it became into a sacred gear. Rias used her powers of destruction to keep the lion at bay, while Konako needed to be healed. Issei in his rook armor was giving Sauerorg a run for his money. They wanted to toe-to-toe and were equally matched. Azazel started to play a few songs at Urias' request. Far Out Strike, Fall Out Boy, and Stay Alive. And Rise. The crowd loved it. Music, 2 epic battles. Issei was now completely focused and in the zone. As Issei and Sarah duked it out, they started to talk. You've changed, Sarah said. He threw a punch and Issei blocked it. Oh, you have no idea. Issei kicked him in the ribs. You weren't affected by Corona. You didn't use stress break of the power of using Rias' knocker, Sarah said. He punched Issei in the face and his helmet started to crack, but it didn't break. Let's just say some things happened, Issei said. Something between you and Rias. I noticed that your team is distraught, but you and Rias didn't even make eye contact, Sarah says. Boost times 10. Issei hit him with an uppercut and sent him flying. He switched to his push-up promotion and blasted Sauerorg with his twin cannons. He landed in the distance and Issei fell to his knees. Rias called out to him. Issei, Rias says. Worry about yourself, Lady Grimmery, Regulus said. Regulus attacked Rias, but luckily blasted him away. Even her power of destruction has little effect. Issei was clutching his chest yet again. Issei, are you alright? Drake says. I'm not sure. The hollowification is manifesting again. Help me stop it. Drake sent enough of his draconic energy to counter the hollow within. Sarah got back up. You'll need more of that. Use your trump card, Sarah says. Fine then. Promotion, Queen. Cardinal Crimson promotion. Issei in his new Queen promotion unleashed a barrage of attacks on Sarah. He punched in the thin air, appeared above him, did a full front flip, add momentum into his tail strike. Sarah took a direct hit and a large gash in his chest and has landed on the ground, made a crater. Issei dived down and extended his leg, using the weight of his body armor to gut kick Sarah into submission. Sarah rolled out of the way. Issei made a big crater. The crowd went insane. Azazel and Ravel were in awe. What do you think of my trump card? Sarah got it wiped off the blood off his chest. Very impressive. I would have loved lost if that kick actually hit me, Saruorg says. Regulus was about to get attacked by Konako and Rias. He roared and blew them away. He saw Saruorg wounded and Issei in his new armor. He sprinted towards them and stood in front of Saruorg while giving Issei the death glare. Master, use me, Regulus said. I told you I won't use that unless it's an emergency. Do it, Issei says. What? We promised to fight without holding back. You're holding back right now, so don't break your promise, Issei says. I see. I owe an apology, Issei. Forgive me. I shall fulfill my promise and give it all. Regulus. Balance break, Saruorg says. Everyone was in shock by those two words. The lion merged with his master and became golden armor. Saruorg now has the armor with a long gold mane, claws on his knuckles, a lion's emblem on his chest, and his power increased exponentially. Now you can really go all out, Issei says. Saruorg smirked and the two engaged in close combat. They were eventually matched, but the few minutes of Issei was starting to lose. He had power, but the stamina that Saruorg possessed and drive. Why am I losing? I'm not holding back and I'm boosting my power. What's happening? Issei says. He started to hear that woman's voice. No, not now, not yet. You can't control me, Issei says. I'm not trying to control you. Please don't resist. Just accept it. It's as part of you as you are a part of me. You'll only hurt yourself more. You'll lose control like I did. How? I'm scared. I don't know if you're trying to use me or consume my life force. I only have 8 years left. What more do you want? Issei says. To help you. Why? Because you're my soulmate. We have a connection right now and you felt it too. You saved me, now let me save you. You're in pain. I can feel some of your heartache and I can't bear it. Please. Issei was in silence. Issei made some distance between him and Saruorg. His body was shaking and he kneeled. He looked down as the words of the woman ran through his mind. Saruorg saw Issei kneeling and thought that he was getting tired. He took the chance to attack and punch him in the face. Issei was sent flying. His helmet fell apart. What people saw was scary. Their cheers turned to silence. His left eye was black. His iris was turning yellow. His hair grew longer and the mask then appeared. Use it. Accept it, Issei. Please, the woman said. Issei heard her beg for him to follow her advice. He ripped off the mask and looked at it. Saruorg kept his distance. He didn't know what just happened. He looked towards Rias, whom he saw trying to hold back to her tears. Ozzy and Konako were looking in fear. Drake? Issei said, Drake, do you have a plan? Yeah, it's risky. If it works, then if not, then forgive me. I heard her voice again. She's begging me to use her power and accept it. You're going to try to use this thing? We don't know what it can do, Drake says. Won't know till we try it. Hey, Drake, Issei says. What? Pancakes, Issei says. He closed his eyes and he absorbed into the gear. His right arm turned white. His claws and fingers turned black. Hollow power merged. You did it, Drake says. I feel it, Issei says. He held his hand to his face and the dark energy covered it. A mask appeared as he moved his hand away. The crowd was silent. There was something new. Everyone saw his eyes, red and yellow as hellfire. There was a low, deep growl coming from him as he stood there, watching. This growl was not just heard, but felt. Unnerving, he took out Ascalon. Issei, is that you? Saruorg says. Issei disappeared from sight, appeared behind Saruorg. He didn't notice Issei appear, but felt and heard the air behind him vibrate. He turned his head and saw Ascalon coming down. He couldn't dodge, and the blade slashed him. His lion mane was cut clean off, and visible cut on his back was left. Saruorg jumped away and turned towards where Issei stood, only to see nothing there. The barrier was behind him, so Issei couldn't try a sneak attack. He then felt his hand. His face and was dragged against the barrier, his armor breaking from the friction. He saw Issei using his strength without any armor or boosting his power. This is only raw power, and Saruorg couldn't believe how he became so strong so quickly. But what the most unbelievable is that Issei was right there, yet he couldn't sense his presence, like he's a ghost. Issei tossed Saruorg into the field. He landed on his feet and they were shaking. Why are my legs shaking? Saruorg says. He looked at Issei. Issei started to boost a few times. He moved around Saruorg, leaving many images. Attack with his fist. Ascalon. Saruorg couldn't predict his moves, while his armor was being destroyed and cut into pieces. He punched the ground and the shockwave blew Issei away. Issei tried to regain his balance as he trembled. But as soon as he did, he saw Saruorg's leg coming straight at him. He got kicked in the face and his mask shattered. Issei hit the barrier and laid there. The pain in his body was increasing from the hollow and the draconic energy clashing. He feels like he's going to get ripped apart. Issei, Irina said, get up! That's one hell of a trick, Issei. You certainly fulfilled your promise. Now let's finish this and see who's the strongest. If you don't, then I'll be forced to fight Rias, Konako, and Azia. Don't make me fight women that love you. The woman I love? Issei says in his own head. Images of the fox woman went through his mind. The last image pushed him over the edge. A dark power was coming from him. Issei, Rias says. No, you won't hurt her. Get up! Get up, Issei says. No, I will protect her, Issei finishes. Issei started to change. Now with the fox woman. No, you're not ready yet. Take control. I fear I may lose you too soon, woman says. She cried as she felt Issei become the hollow. She was beauty, stronger. Wow, with Issei. His scream was heard and felt in the entire stadium. He used his superior speed to tackle Cyborg and free Konako. He puts her down and looks at her, who feared back at it. He saw as she's afraid, just like before. Relax, Konako. I'm still me, Issei says. She no longer looked at him in fear, but in relief. A smile adorned her face. He walked toward Cyborg, who was using the last of his strength to get up and attack Issei. Issei raised Ascalon and sent a red and black energy wave. He hit his target and a large explosion followed. Issei walked over and stares at him as he lays with the shattered armor. Cyborg got up and put his legs, still shaking, walked over to Issei. Well done, Issei. You beat me. I cannot fight anymore. Thank you, Cyborg says. Cyborg disappeared a green light with a smile on his face as he faded into consciousness. The winner is Team Grimmery, Azazel says. Issei, are you still in control? I don't want to do anything to hurt you, kiddo, or see the others hurt. I can't bear to see Hades and the Reapers take your life. Please take control, Azazel says to himself. The crowd was still silent as they see Issei go from their beloved grab and dragon to this thing. Issei lowered his sword and roared once more. Each second of it sent chills in everyone's bodies. Irina was starting to cry. Ravel couldn't speak. She remembers seeing Issei in a comatose state and how he looked like he was dying. Konako, Rias, and Azia slowly walked over to him. Issei put Ascalon back into his boosted gear. He slowly grabbed his horn and broke it off. The crack spread to the rest of his body. It started to break off into pieces. The hole in his chest appeared like it never existed. His hair was still long. He turned back to his old normal self, appearance-wise. The draconic features, pale skin, vanished. You're welcome, Sire Orc, Issei says. He looked up at the audience. He saw their shocked faces. Even the kids were silent until they erupted with cheer. The ground was vibrating from it. Issei couldn't believe they cheered for him. As fatigue set in, he smiled and said, I retire. A green light began to envelop. He lost consciousness, but not his smile. He said, wait, Rias said. She rushed to him and reached out. He fell to his knees, faded with the green light as soon as she reached him, and with that, it was over. Chapter 17. More answers. As Issei retired, he blacked out and woke up a few hours later in bed. He looked up and saw that he's in the medical room. He was about to get up until, don't move, your bones are fractured and some are even broken, Cyborg says. Issei turned his head and saw Cyborg laying in the adjacent bed. Hey, Issei said. Issei was still drowsy. The adrenaline wore off. They gave you the meds to help you heal faster. You'll be okay, Cyborg says. He said, smiling. Issei, despite being under the influence, spoke up. How are you feeling? I'm fine, but the question is, are you? Cyborg says. Huh? I noticed that there's some bad blood between you and my cousin Rias. Want to talk about it? Issei was silent. Well, if you ever do, then you know where to find me. Thanks for keeping your promise. That was one hell of a fight. What was the power you used anyway? Cyborg says. Once I get all the answers, I'll tell you over a drink. Or several, Issei says. Cyborg could tell that the way he spoke wasn't because of the drugs. It was emotional pain. Deal. But you have to tell me the whole story, Cyborg says. That's what the several drinks are for. Name the time and place. When you're ready, I'll wait, Cyborg says. Thank you, Issei replied. He closed his eyes and blacked out again. So how long are you going to keep hiding there, Rias? Cyborg says. Rias enters the room. You know I was there? Yep. Care to give some answers to what happened? Rias walks over to Issei as she held his hand. She was looking depressed. I said something I shouldn't have. Cyborg was silent. You're not going to ask me anything? No. I have a feeling I shouldn't pry. Rias just climbed into Issei's bed and cuddles with him while weeping. Cyborg could tell that whatever happened could not be hidden for long. Rias Grimmery. After everything that has happened, you still have the audacity to even come near my partner, then hold him as if he's your toy? Ugh. You're lucky he's passed out and I'm stuck in the gear, Drake says. People are completely honest when they're angry or drunk. Issei needs to let out his anger. This drinking session will be intense, Cyborg thought to himself. Meanwhile, with Azazel. After he made sure Issei was okay, he went to see Hades. I assume you want answers regarding the hollow that is a part of the Red Dragon Emperor. Exactly. Are you willing to talk? Azazel says. Very well. If I don't, then I know it would only cause more trouble than it's worth. I'll make it brief, but tell me, where did he encounter Avastra Lordi of all hollows? Hades said. In the familiar forest. And what do you call it? Yes, there are low class hollows equal to low-ranking devils, they come in all shapes and sizes, different abilities. Like everything in existence, they feed on souls, living, but those who aren't available, they turn into each other at times. They even merge with their numbers from a certain reach point. They reach called class Menos, which has 3 types. Gillians. I'm not going to go through all the definitions, that's annoying. Ajukas. One, Gillians are the most massive and powerful, but lack intelligence, and individually being the product of hundreds of hollows fused together. Though they are the weaker of the 3 types of Menos, the appearance are even just Gillians setting out of Hercule Mundo is a case state of emergency, in which case Soul Reapers are usually dispatched to handle them. Nevertheless, the emergence of the Gillians, or Menos for that matter, on Earth or in other locations are extremely uncommon. A hollow who manages to retain its individuality when becoming a Menace will begin to attack and devour other Gillians, increasing its power and triggering its second evolution. Ajukas are the result of hollows who have continued to consume or other hollows as Gillians. They're causing their second evolution. It is estimated that hollows that consume another 1,000 or so hollows before evolving again. Ajukas are smaller in size than Gillians, however, much more powerful and intelligent, and therefore far more dangerous. They often act as leaders in groups of Gillians and less hollows. The power of these hollows possesses said to be comparable to a high-class devil or even higher in some cases. Nevertheless, Ajukas are smaller than Gillians, so encountering one in the forest of Menos is rather uncommon. Should Ajukas stop eating hollows for an extended period of time, it will lose its individuality and its evolution will reverse, thus reverting it back to a regular Gillian with animalistic instincts, however, permanently. Moreover, if any portion of the Ajuka's body is lost to eaten by another hollow, its evolution will cease regardless of how many more hollows it consumes. And now the third and final one, 3. They are the smallest out of any of the other classes hollows, usually equating to the size of a human because the level of a Vastra Lorde is extremely difficult to reach. They are rare to come across. It is said that they are the scarce, and one could find the number of them throughout the Humano Mundo. With only fingers on your hand, it is said that their combat abilities surpass most of the ultimate class devils or other beings. Azazel was freaking out a little on the inside. That raised even more questions. First of all, what is a Hukimundo? Azazel says, after souls turn into hollows, most of them automatically appear in a place called their Inamundo, and that's where they reside. It's a dimension that hollows inhabit in great numbers. Those who remain on Earth are taken care of by Reapers, Hades says. Then how did it appear in the familiar forest? And how did it turn Issei into one? This has never happened before, so it's anyone's guess but mine that it somehow found a rift between dimensions and ended up here, and merged with the Red Dragon. Once bitten by a hollow, you lose your life force depending on how much one has, but type of hollow, but regardless. Those bitten will die sooner than most. There have been many victims who turned and lost control, only to be taken down by my Reapers, Hades says. What does the mask and the hole in the chest signify? Azazel says they are linked. Once the soul turns, a hole in their chest appears, signifying their heart no longer exists. However, the heart actually becomes the mask, since the soul is different. The mask is also different. They cannot take it off, and it will always resemble a skull. The Red Dragon Emperor unique existence, and became even more so. I saw how he went from losing control to almost mastering it. However, Hades says, however what? My Reapers and I can tell how long a person has to live. He has 8 years left. We know that. Please don't tell anyone. We're trying to fix that, as Azazel said. There is no undoing what has been done. He can master that power or seal it away. I'm sorry, Hades says. Azazel replied, he's the first I've seen to survive an encounter with the Vastra Lorde, become one and use its abilities while maintaining control. I honestly don't want him to die. He can do amazing things, Hades says. He not only survived it, but killed the Vastra Lorde all by himself, Azazel says. Incredible, Hades replies. Good thing I can lie through my teeth when I have to, Azazel says. I agree, but tell me, what abilities do Paulus possesses? Most low levels can use abilities that are specific to them. For example, some can use fire, brute strength, speed, etc. But those above more and more dangerous, the Menos Grande, can fire a Zero. Zero, Azazel says? An energy blast that is capable of leveling nations with one shot. Their limit depends on their power, their only ability to completely hide their presence, and if none, their speed. It's likely to teleport, and the fact that you can tell their presence combined with it. You can't predict how they'll attack, or how. My Reapers are dead to speak like hollows. He is only half alive and half dead, much like his partner, the Welsh Dragon. Zazel was surprised. It gets worse. the stronger they become. The Suro, a Vastro loader, can destroy planets, solar systems easily, but Issei Hyodo is more dangerous than that. He can use his boosted gear to overpower just about every being in existence, including the dragon Great Red, Orphis, and I dare say, the beast Triaxa, Hades says. Azazel was trembling. The thought of such power being possessed by Issei of all people, especially in his emotional state. It's too much. I suspected that he knows some extent, and perhaps that's why he's asked me to end his life. I hope that the day does not come, Hades says. Yeah, me too. I have to tell him. But only him and select others. He'll be a target if word gets out, Hades says. Thank you. I know, Hades. I'll be leaving now. Farewell. Azazel leaves on his way to tell Sir Zax. Grafia and Sarah follow Juka. Issei was still out cold from his medication. He went to talk to them, and found in the meeting discussing the Reina game, he burst through the door. Ever heard of knocking? Azazel, Ajuka says. Sorry, but I've got some info you all need to know. It concerns Issei and just about everyone else in existence, Azazel says. His tone was dead serious. Tell us. As Azazel told them, they told all variety of expressions. Sir Zax was terrified. Grafia was worried beyond imagination. Seraphal was stoic. And Ajuka had a grim expression. The atmosphere was so cold. The silence was haunting. One could hear the rapid heartbeat of everyone in the room. So what do we do? Azazel says. Sir Zax stood up. We keep Rias away from him as a star. Try to help him the best we can. Why him? As if he doesn't have enough to deal with already, Sir Zax says. Becoming that strong. I fear it, Grafia says, only if he loses control. If he doesn't lose control, then we'll all live, Ajuka says. And if he does, then we obviously have a hard choice to make. We have to stop him by any means. Fuck, Azazel says. Grafia took out a butterfly knife and buried it from Issei. She looked at it and started to cry. We have to help him. He only has 8 years left to live, so let's make it the best 8 years of his life. They all agree. I'm going to check on him. I'm coming with you, Grafia says. Same. The three of them go to Issei's room when they see Rias cuddling him while he's asleep. They enter the room and Rias acknowledges their presence. So what's going on? We need to talk. Step outside, Rias. His tone was that of an older brother. Was not that of an older brother, but it's the same as he uses as the Devil King to intimidate his enemies. Rias reluctantly gets off the bed, but glanced at Issei just before exiting the room. Sarah Org was watching. He gets up and bows. Should I leave too, my lord? No. You need to know something, so please stay. Grafia and Azazel will update you on the recent events. This on need to know bias, but only for you. Not your team or family unless Issei decides otherwise. Understand? Yes, my lord. You're going to need to sit down for this. Cyberorg saw their dark expressions and feared the worst. If he could only imagine what they did. What's going on? Rias says. Outside, now, Sir Zax replied. They leave Sir Zax and tell the Hollow that Issei has now become his current condition. She mentioned that Issei told her and Azia known about the 8 years left. She also mentioned what Issei doesn't love her anymore. Can you blame him? No, but I'm going to try to make things right. Rias says, after seeing how much is turning so far, I'm not sure if I should let you be anywhere near him. Sir Zax says, no, don't take him away from me. I need to make things right. Very well, but we'll make sure to keep an eye out. If you jump to conclusions or anything, you can kiss life as you know it goodbye. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Rias says, good. Go check on your team. They should have given an equal treatment and concern. Rias nods and goes to see Akano, Zenobia, Gasper, Kiba, and Rasvaisa, who are awake but are going to need some time to recover. Fighting Zyrorg and his team took a toll on them. Ozzy and Konako were about to go visit Issei when they weren't allowed to see him as he was undergoing treatment. They walked and saw Grafia, Azazel, and Sir Zax talking to Zyrorg, who was sweating bullets. They overheard the conversation. What the? Zyrorg said. He had no words. He was standing there looking at Issei. Did you two know? Zyrorg says. They all looked at Konako and Azia. He told us about the 8 years he has left, and the hollow thing, but now we overheard what you said about them and how strong they are. And to think that only Reapers are keeping us safe from them. We should thank them, honestly, Azazel says. So how do you know about it? What's our next step? Grafia says. We need to help him overcome what he experienced with Rias. She's hell-bent on making things right, so I'll allow it under supervision. If she's messed up, then I'll personally see that she's out of his life for good, Sir Zax says. He's always welcome in my home. He only needs to tell me he wants to have a gateway, Zyrorg says. No one noticed that Issei was partially awake. A gateway, not a bad idea. I always wanted to see Norway and want to go there, Drake. It'll be a nice change of pace. Hey, Drake. It's even stronger now. The hollow powers, that my connection to her. I can feel her presence. She even in the familiar forest, waiting for me. About her. The hollows appear from a human world, and then into the human mundo, as they said. How did she become one? If she's from a different dimension entirely, Drake says. Which is why I want to ask her once we see her, but I don't know if I can be of a connection. Then I'll ask her. You'll need to subdue her. should the need arise, Drake says. Thanks, Drake, I owe you. Pay me in pancakes and other dishes, Drake said. Of course. You should try Ashia's French toast. Ooh, sounds good. What's the golden brown liquid you guys pour on pancakes? Syrup. We can try those soon. Konako isn't the only sweet lover, Issei says. And that is the end of chapter 17. And that is where we're going to stop for now. I didn't technically leave you on a cliffhanger this time, but I'm fucking tired, and I got another video to do. I recorded this as the other one's literally premiering. I have to record some videos in advance because I'm going back to college. I'm absolutely exhausted. I have a lot to do. But every time I get more exhausted, I feel some type of striking power, like, to just keep going. So, thank you so much for your support, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate it. Your boy's on the fucking grind. I'm actually at 73,100 subscribers currently on Anpalpowski. It probably will be my first channel to hit 100,000 subs. And triple digits is something that I've been striving for such a long time. You have no idea. And we could possibly hit 50,000 on Spartanic, which is crazy. This is amazing. Like, I just can't thank you enough. It took one heartbreak to push me to my absolute limits. I can't thank you enough, ladies and gentlemen. To anyone who's going through something right now, trust me, in the end, if you put your mind to it, do not give up. Trust me. Everything. In the end, once again, you will win. Let's try to hit the like button. Subscribe to become a member. Go to my Patreon. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Spartanic Arts DxD.